Okay, let's get going because we have a lot of amazing things to cover today. First, let me welcome you for joining us today on this incredible event that is global and time zone spanning. Today's event is called Women Uplifting Women, Spilling the Beans about Inclusive Development in the Coffee Sector. And we are incredibly honored to be facilitating this global event in partnership with Planet Bean as part of the Guelph Institute of Development Studies World in 2030 Speaker Series. I just wanted to let you guys know that we are recording this today, and I would like to remind you to mute your microphones for the duration of the event to minimize background noise. So my name is Megan Brockington, and I'm a PhD candidate in population medicine and international development studies here at the University of Guelph. And I have the absolute pleasure of moderating today's discussion. This evening, we have the honor of learning from our wonderful speakers about the role of governance and functioning of women's fair trade coffee cooperatives and the transformative impacts of these on individuals, households, communities, women, and women around the globe. Before introducing our speakers and getting started, I'm going to provide you a bit of background and information on fair trade practices, coffee cooperatives, and more specifically, the efforts of our speakers and co-host Planet Bean in contributing to women's well-being and gender equality, both abroad and right here in Guelph. So, fair trade coffee, or fair trade, is both a practice and a regulatory body. It ensures that producers around the world can engage in international trade in a way that is equitable and encourages socially and environmentally sustainable production practices. In order for coffee farmers to participate in fair trade, they must be part of an organization that they own and control, like a cooperative, which is also known as a co-op. A co-op is when producers join together to take ownership as a group in order to better leverage resources, opportunities for trade, training, and security. Fair trade provides farmers, in the case of coffee, with a minimum price for their beans, and also fair trade premium that the co-op can use for community projects. The International Fair Trade System establishes standards or rules that participating co-ops must follow, including improving environmental practices, including women in decision-making, and encouraging young people to participate. For today's event, we have the honor of hearing from the managers of two women's cooperatives from Peru and Sumatra, respectively, and their experiences running these respective cooperatives, the impacts of the co-op on themselves and their communities, and the important contributions they are making to gender equality and women's well-being outside of their own communities in our university and the wider Guelph community. So now just a little bit about Planet Bean. Planet Bean Coffee is a coffee roasting company located in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, which imports and roasts certified fair trade and certified organic coffee. Planet Bean sells the fair trade coffee purchased from co-ops in its own local coffee bars, as well as in supermarkets, shops, restaurants, and at the University of Guelph. The coffee beans that Planet Bean uses are a blend of those grown by the cooperatives run by our two guest speakers, Isabel from Peru and Rizkani from Indonesia. Both of these cooperatives are 100% women-owned and operated and belong to a broader women's coffee program called Café Femenino, which began in Peru around 2004. During our event, we will learn more about the Café Femenino and its efforts to protect and improve the lives of women in all communities where Café Femenino's beans are supplied and enjoyed, which includes Guelph. In 2017, Planet Bean worked with the University of Guelph to develop the Griffin Coffee Blend, which some of you on today probably have had. The Griffin Blend is sold on the university campus and in the community of Guelph, and a portion of the sales goes to support women's athletic scholarships at the University of Guelph. Beyond their efforts to support female athletes at our university, Café Femenino sales go towards supporting women who experience domestic and gender-based violence in the communities in which their coffee is sold. Specifically, Sister Story Coffee, a new blend recently launched by Café Femenino and Planet Bean, offers a socially conscious option for buyers whereby purchasing this roast, the consumer will direct 15% of the sale towards their choice of one of 47 women's shelters across Canada. On a personal note, I have worked in international development for several years. I am now doing a PhD in it. I've specifically worked on sexual and reproductive healthcare access and sexual and gender-based violence protection in refugee communities globally. I was also a Canadian senior national swimmer and a Division I NCAA athlete during my undergraduate degree. And so the work of Cafe Femenino is very close to my heart, and it is an absolute pleasure for me to introduce to you our very accomplished speakers today. We'll start by introducing Rizkani Ahmed. She was born into a family of farmers in the Gayo Highlands of Sumatra. Her father was able to establish a successful agricultural business, but when she got into farming herself, she noticed that the women didn't have much of a voice in this sector. So, in collaboration with some of her cousins and friends in the community, she decided to create a farming business specifically for women. We are grateful she is here to share her story with us today. Next, we have Isabel Huerate, who grew up in a farming family in Cajamarca region of Peru. She is the co-founder of the Cafe Femenino program, and we look forward to learning how her initiative to support women coffee growers has expanded into a successful global movement over the past 2 decades. Isabel's last trip to Guelph took place in 2015, and we are excited to welcome her back today. Thank you for joining us, Isabel. And today we are lucky because we are doing a global event that has many different languages. So to assist us in our translation during our event today, we are also welcoming our 2 wonderful interpreters. We have Wida, who is a digital marketer from Indonesia, and we have Cynthia, who hails from Mexico and is a longtime friend and supporter of Cafe Femenino. Between them, we are bridging not just linguistic divides, but also a 12-hour time difference. And we are very lucky and grateful for their support throughout today's webinar. So for the next hour, we will be hearing from Rizkani and Isabel about their important work with the co-ops and the impacts of these efforts at the individual, community, and broader levels. Afterward, we will have a little time for audience questions, and for our Q&A, we'll be using the chat function in the Zoom. So please submit your questions as they come up, and we will do our best to address them at the end. So let's get started, and let's hear from our first guest from Peru, Isabel and Cynthia. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Megan. Podemos empezar ahora, Isabel. Voy a compartir la pantalla. ¿Algo que quiera decirle a los invitados que están aquí?
Sí, buenas tardes. Muchísimas gracias por la invitación a compartir esta experiencia de café femenino que se viene desarrollando en el Perú, gracias a la Universidad de Guelph y gracias también a Bill, que es nuestro compañero de negocios y de ilusiones desde el año 2004.
Isabel, thanks all of you for this opportunity and the chance of to talk to everyone about Café Femenino and their story, how much they've grown over the years. And she also says hi to Bill. Thank you for the invitation. And she's very happy to be part of this. Thank you to the University of Guelph. And now we're gonna start. ¿Comenzamos, Isabel?
Ya, sí, la iniciativa de Café Femenino en realidad es una cadena de valor con perspectiva de género y resultados económicos inclusivos que se desarrolla dentro de situaciones difíciles del desarrollo de la caficultura en el Perú. Tenemos, por ejemplo, la informalidad de la propiedad de la tierra, lo que no permite acceder a financiamiento formal para tecnificar el cultivo.
Okay.
El 95% de nuestros socios tienen menos de 2 hectáreas y dividido en 2 o 3 parcelas en diferentes lugares.
Okay. So to start, Café Femenino, it's a value change with gender perspective, and it has an economic and inclusive outcome. They are looking to provide farmers with the opportunity of having a way to have an income for their household. 95% of their partners have less than 1 hectare of land. And most of them, what they do is that they share that land with others. So they don't have the opportunity, or it's very hard for them to have the opportunity to have a title, a land title, and to own land. And that is one of the issues that Café Femenino has been able to target with this program. ¿Quiere que mueva a la siguiente diapositiva?
También hay una baja productividad por la presencia de plantaciones viejas y altos costos en la fertilización. Hay una deficiente infraestructura vial a las zonas de producción, lo que incrementa los costos de transporte, un alto costo de certificaciones y el problema de que el trabajo de la mujer es invisible en todo este circuito, ¿no?
So, as we can see on the slide, some of the issues in the coffee business in Peru is that farmers do not have the ability to access credit opportunities and sources. So that has a huge impact on the technical and productive levels that they have. Also, the high prices and scarcity of organic fertilizers, because as you know, Café Femenino, it is an organic coffee. They need to find fertilizers that comply that certification. So sometimes they're very expensive, and that is another challenge that farmers have to face. Also, the impact of global warming in places where they are below 1,200 meters above the sea level, they are looking at a very huge impact on their plants. And that along with, or that provokes a very low productivity on the plant because they might not have the access to have those resources that will make them grow bigger, give a good product. And if they don't have the technical information to have them, to have a better quality, a product that is a better quality, that is another issue that they find. And one of the things that Café Femenino addresses as well is that there is a tendency in the Peru to make the woman's labor, the woman's work invisible. It's not recognized. So with this project, with this cooperative, what they've been trying to do is to make it visible, to make people to recognize the hard work women do.
Las mujeres trabajan todo el tiempo en la casa y en el campo, pero no tienen el control del producto. La marginación y la subordinación no solamente es cultural, sino también económica y social. El machismo en los hombres y la sumisión en las mujeres son los roles que han asignado a la sociedad, por lo tanto se ven como algo normales. En las comunidades, el 70% por lo menos de mujeres son víctimas de abuso físico, psicológico y sexual. Las hijas de las productoras no tienen acceso a la educación, ¿no? Tienen que quedarse en la casa o casarse muy temprano.
So this project, what realized is that start asking themselves is what are the circumstances of female coffee growers? And as we can see on this slide, they were, even though they were doing a lot of the work in the house and at the field, they were not being recognized and they had no control about the product and about how to sell it to others. They had, we could say they had, even though they had a voice, they were not heard and they were not taken into account to make those decisions in the family. So they had very limited opportunities to go to school. They were not be offered that opportunity. They had no access to education. They were getting married at a very young age. And that was sort of like the cycle they were in. Most of like 70% of them, they were victims of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. The presence of this machismo, it led women to be submissive, to accept whatever men told them to do, whatever men told them that they had to do, they had to not to do, and they were not being an active part, an active member of the community. They were not an active part of the family, even though they were doing most or a lot of the work.
Dentro de esta perspectiva, nosotros creemos que las mujeres pueden y tienen la capacidad de producir un café de alta calidad y pueden ofrecer al mercado en forma organizada. Creo que por eso se generó la marca, y detrás de esta marca está la historia de miles de mujeres que trabajan permanentemente en el campo y que no es reconocido ese trabajo, ¿no? Creemos que las mujeres tenemos la misma inteligencia y la misma capacidad que los varones, pero lamentablemente no hemos tenido la misma oportunidad para desarrollarnos. Es esa lucha de las mujeres que nos organizamos por conseguir y tener las mismas oportunidades para desarrollarnos y contribuir en mejores condiciones al bienestar de nuestra familia.
So Café Femenino, it's a project that puts the woman at the center, and they firmly believe that they have the same capacity as men to produce good, excellent quality coffee. They can grow coffee that is one of the best. They have the knowledge, they have the capacity, they have the ability to do that. And if anything, they have not been given the opportunity to do that. They have not been given the opportunity to prove that and to show that to the rest of the community, to the rest of the city, to the rest of the world. So Café Femenino, they said, we want equity, we want equality, we want women, because they always are looking, they're looking for their families, so they want them to be the ones that provide that opportunity to their family members. They want to be the ones that are recognized for all the hard work they do. So that's one of the main points, the pillars of thought of Café Femenino.
En 1992 iniciamos la relación con pequeños productores, impulsando la participación de las mujeres. Y a pesar de que hacíamos múltiples actividades para atraerlos, en realidad no conseguíamos que un grupo grande de mujeres se incorporara a la organización. Ya en el 2000 al 2003 nace la idea de separar el café de las mujeres, porque los beneficios de comercio justo sentíamos que no iban a contribuir a mejorar las condiciones de vida de la familia. En el 2004, ya con 350 mujeres en la organización, planteamos a nuestro importador óptico la idea, que fue acogida felizmente y se conversó con los tostadores, y de ahí la presencia de Bill también en esta iniciativa, y juntos construimos la marca de café femenino.
So Café Femenino started in 1999. I'm sorry, 1992. And they started making this call to women to be part of it. They started to doing workshops. They started to do information sessions for women to know, for men to know about human rights, about how to grow a business, how to be better, how to make your plantation better. However, they didn't receive a lot of people joining or interested in being part of that. So they started with 5 women. And then after a few years, seeing that that was maybe the way to approach communities, they started with the idea of separating the coffee that it was grown by women so they could get the benefit of their coffee that they were growing. So they started to partner with OPCO, that was their only partner in the development of this market. And they were very pleased with this idea. Women were very happy to learn about that. They were very happy to have that, the ability to have the opportunity to have their own income, to have something that they will receive directly. And Isabel is very thankful to Bill because he was one of the partners that was there to support this idea and to encourage them to grow more and to grow bigger and to develop this more and more. So women started, they saw this as an opportunity for them to have their voice being heard, to have their work being recognized, because they will be getting the income directly to them. And in 2004, they were able to have 350 women as members of their organization, and the brand Café Femenino was created.
En el 2014 logramos formalizar la Asociación Femenina de Café y Quinoa dentro de la organización madre Secanor. Es decir, no decidimos separar a las mujeres en otra organización, sino formalizar su organización dentro de Secanor. En el 2020 llegamos a ser 714 mujeres y en 60 comunidades, 18 distritos, 3 regiones, Amazonas, Lambayeque y Cajamarca, y actualmente también a nivel internacional son 12 países los que participan de esta iniciativa de café femenino en Latinoamérica y África.
As the project continued to grow, they started another organization that it was the Female Association of Coffee and Quinoa. And that organization became formalized. And that was within Secanor, which is the name of the co-op, the big co-op. They decided that it was not a good move to separate those, as they were the same women and they had the same principles and objectives. So they started they formalized that association. And in 2020, they grew to be 714 women that were part of the Café Femenino program. Nowadays, Café Femenino has grown and it's been carried by 60 communities and 18 districts in the region of Lambayeque, Cajamarca, Amazonas, and in more than 12 countries in Latin America and Africa.
Café Femenino solamente se vende en condiciones de comercio justo. Por lo tanto, esa prima de comercio justo beneficia grandemente al desarrollo de la organización y de las mujeres. Las mujeres reciben también un premio adicional por la marca Café Femenino. Con esta marca se han abierto muchas oportunidades para empoderar a las mujeres en igualdad de condiciones y esto permitiéndonos impulsar un modelo de negocio exitoso. Tenemos la cooperación, por ejemplo, con la Universidad San Jerónimo de Canadá también, que envía estudiantes con la finalidad de intercambio todos los años, apoyan pequeños proyectos fundamentalmente dirigidos a mejorar el sistema de riego para mejorar la producción. También tenemos el apoyo de la Fundación de Café Femenino, para los programas sociales, fundamentalmente para mejorar la nutrición, la educación, la salud, con pequeños proyectos productivos. Y creo que una de las cosas que contribuye comercio justo es al desarrollo de capacidades de todos los productores, no solamente capacidades productivas, sino capacidades de gestión, capacidades organizativas.
So Café Femenino, it's a fair trade coffee. And being fair trade is one of the most important parts of this project, because women that are part of this, they get benefited directly by this. They receive a premium for being part of Café Femenino, and they get incentives from fair trade as well. So that that makes women that want to be part of this. They want to be, they do see it's the benefit, they see it, it's visible, it's something that changes their direct reality. They, through Café Femenino, they have been given the opportunity through Café Femenino Foundation, they have also been able to receive support about food programs, health campaigns, education, and other things that have supported and helped them improve their community and the way they live and their life quality as well. They also collaborate with St. Jerome's University, and this university sends students every year to do internships and to have to assist these farmers with knowledge, with this exchange of knowledge, and to have the financial support to improve their irrigation infrastructure. One of the things that Isabel mentions that it's crucial, and it's one of the main benefits of being fair trade, is that it gives the opportunity to farmers to develop their capacities, and not only of knowledge, but also to be able to say and to decide what they want to do, how they want to move forward, what is the direction they want to go. And that is something that they really appreciate and they really love about this scheme, the fair trade scheme. It's something that they appreciate a lot. They have the opportunity to learn, to improve their knowledge, to have the abilities, to have the infrastructure, to have the materials they need. And it is because of being they are part of the fair trade scheme.
Algunos logros que creemos que hemos alcanzado hasta ahora es mejorar el autoestima de las mujeres. Se ha reducido sustancialmente la violencia dentro de la familia, por lo menos dentro de los socios de Secanor. Hay un mayor interés en educar a las hijas. Hay cambios en la familia, hay más respeto, más comunicación. Unas 120 mujeres ahorita están en puestos de liderazgo dentro de la organización. La expansión del programa de café femenino a 12 países, con la participación en el Perú de más de 1,200 mujeres propietarias de su terreno a través de Secanor y otras organizaciones. Hay más de 60 clientes, empresas tostadoras en Inglaterra, Holanda, Canadá, Estados Unidos, Australia, que se han comprometido con la marca de café femenino.
So over the years, of course, Café Femenino has had huge achievements. One of them, like all of them are important. One of the things that they've noticed is that women have, it has had a very positive impact on the self-esteem in women that are part of this co-op, that are part of this project. There has been a reduction in the violence and mistreatment inside of the families that are part of this project, because they have had the opportunity to learn more about different ways to establish relationships with others. They have had the opportunity to learn about their rights. They have had the opportunity about how to treat others without being disrespectful, without being that there's other ways to manage everything, to manage the family, to manage and to relate with others. They have learned because they've been able to see, they've been exposed to other opportunities, and they have had access to more opportunities as well that women, and they have access to education. The families are more respectful within the family members. Now they have 120 women that are in leadership roles within the organization. And that is a huge change if we think that at the beginning of what we were saying at the beginning of the presentation, that women had, their voices were not being heard. They were being kept invisible, right? So now 120 women are in leadership roles within the organization. And also some of them have gone beyond the organization, and they are active members in their communities. The program has had the expansion to 12 countries, the participation of 1,200 women, their landowners, and this is among Seganor and other organizations. Over 60 companies in England, Holland, Canada, USA, and Australia buy and distribute the Café Femenino brand.
En el 2020 tenemos 524,000 kilos exportados, unos $231,000 de premio de comercio justo, unos $34,000 de premio de café femenino, que seguramente son cantidades pequeñas dentro del negocio grande de café, pero que al ser una experiencia de negociación de un café de mujeres nos parece importante. Creemos que la familia campesina, agricultora, durante el estado de emergencia ha sido un soporte fundamental para las comunidades caficultoras, y también los programas sociales apoyados por la Fundación de Café Femenino, que nos ha ayudado viene ayudando a desarrollar proyectos productivos para mejorar la calidad del café de los pequeños productores.
So we can see on the slide some of the numbers of Café Femenino as for exported kilograms of coffee, the premiums they have got through fair trade. And all of that had a big impact in the families of these women. And even though Isabel mentions these numbers might look might look little compared to those huge corporations, we have to take into account that this was achieved by a group that started a few years ago, and that started with 5 women, and they've gone this far. And this product has a clear impact in the lives of these families, of these women. Now that they were under the state of emergency due to the pandemic, they had a family agricultural woman program, and that facilitated this source of that facilitated families to have access to food. They had another program funded by the Café Femenino Foundation to improve the coffee quality. And they have, every year, they have had events around Christmas times, Christmas holidays, that benefit over 2,000 children of coffee producers. And they also deliver food and personal hygiene products to 350 children from 15 early education centers.
En relación a los retos, creo que en primer lugar tenemos que garantizar la sostenibilidad de la organización con la participación igualitaria de las mujeres. Actualmente en Secanor el 52% de miembros son mujeres. Mantener la certificación orgánica, sostenible y comercio justo, porque sin esas certificaciones, sin un producto diferenciado, lamentablemente no podríamos competir en el mercado. Reforzar las capacidades técnicas para mejorar la calidad del producto. Los clientes ahora exigen cada vez mejor calidad. Reforzar el liderazgo de las mujeres en la organización y en las comunidades. Continuar promoviendo la diversificación productiva. No podemos hacer que nuestros productores dependan de un solo producto. Continuar incorporando instituciones a la cadena de valor para promover productos producidos por mujeres en igualdad de oportunidades. Esos retos tenemos para el futuro.
So now looking at the future, those are some of the challenges, what we can see on the slides. Those are some of the challenges that Café Femenino has. Right now, 52% of the members of the co-op are women who are being part of this, receiving training, receiving all kind of materials and support for them to continue growing. They have the challenge of continue having their certifications. They want to continue being organic. They want to be they want to be fair trade, and that's very important for them. They also want to continue promoting the diversification so they can guarantee food security for the farmers that are part of this co-op, because they don't want to tie their producers to just one type of product. They want to be, they want to keep growing. They want to be continue diversifying what they do. So they also want to guarantee that women still have the same opportunities as men, and they want them to be part and involved in this project, and they want them to be a crucial and main part of this project as they've been so far. And I believe that's all. Hemos llegado a la final de la presentación, ¿cierto, Isabel?
Sí, sí.
Thank you both. That was perfect timing. 29 minutes and 53 seconds. Well done. That was a phenomenal presentation. I thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear more during the question and answer period. For right now, we will hand it over to Riscani and Rita. If you guys would like to share your screen.
Yes, please.
Perfect. Take it away.
Okay. Dipersilakan untuk Kak Rizkani, bisa memulai presentasinya, Kak. Kak, sorry masih ke-mute untuk audionya.
Ya, selamat pagi. Saat ini pagi di Indonesia. Selamat pagi semuanya. Isabel, Aso dari Korea, juga ada Bill.
Okay. She's saying good morning to everyone. Welcome to the presentation. It's right now early in the morning at 7 a.m. in Indonesia. And she's also welcoming, saying thank you to Stephanie, Megan, and Bill. And also So Jun from Korea for being here.
Ya, perkenalkan, nama saya Rizkani dari Koperasi Kopi Wanita Gayo.
Yeah, she wants to introduce herself. So her name is Rizkani. She's from the Cocoa Gayo organizations in Indonesia.
Ya, saya akan mulai presentasinya. Cocoa Gayo tidak hanya menawarkan kopi, tetapi juga memungkinkan perempuan untuk diberdaya secara sosial dan ekonomi.
Okay, so Cocoa Gayo is not only specifically for coffee, but also trying to incorporate and develop how women are growing in Indonesia, specifically for Sumatra region.
Ya, kenapa koperasi ini berdiri? Jadi Cocoa Gayo adalah salah satu koperasi wanita khusus di wilayah Gayo, Sumatera. Dasar pendirian adalah salah satunya pada pengalaman bahwa dalam koperasi campuran, perempuan sering terpinggirkan. Perempuan sering kali tidak memiliki akses dalam proses pengambil keputusan karena menghadapi tantangan sosial yang terbatas, partisipasi dan kepemimpinan perempuan. Selain itu, kontribusi perempuan dalam perdagangan kopi dan lembaga koperasi juga sering disembunyikan. Karena itu, pendirian Cocoa Gayo dimaksudkan untuk mengakomodasi dan menjadi ruang pemberdayaan bagi petani kopi perempuan.
Okay, so Cocoa Gayo originally started because there's some issue that is happening around the coffee organizations and also company around Sumatra, especially. So within the time, there wasn't really a lot of women or like women figure around the coffee business. So there are also limited options where women can have can speak their voice to the market and also to the people around the area. And then the numbers of contribution that actually women have been giving out on this commodity is not really been seen. It's somewhat like hidden compared to what is shown on the public. Usually a lot of the males are more dominant. So that's why the Cocoa Gayo organizations are trying to build a better community and a better situations where women are able to be shown and more respectedly.
Cocoa Gayo berdiri pada tahun 2014. Cocoa Gayo telah berusaha untuk menjadi koperasi yang memberdayakan perempuan sebagai nilai utama dalam prinsip-prinsip berkelanjutan yang diterapkan. Prinsip yang berkelanjutan ini telah diupayakan tidak hanya melalui komitmen kami sebagai pendiri dan pemilik, tetapi juga dalam setiap proses bisnis yang mencakup dukungan produksi, kualitas, dan akses pasar yang adil bagi petani. Peningkatan partisipasi perempuan dalam kegiatan koperasi, konservasi alam, dan keanekaragaman hayati, dan meningkatkan standar ekonomi di kehidupan wanita Gayo.
Okay, so the Cocoa Gayo organization is built at 2004, and then this is all for women and then built by women. The main development that they're trying to do here is not only through the nature conservative, but also to commit on building the well-being of all the women that are involved. And then also through the business side up until the productions, and then also the and also develop the economical standards of how people are living around Gayo region, Sumatra.
Ya, selanjutnya.
Next slide. Okay.
Jadi ini adalah Badan Hukum Koperasi yang disahkan oleh Menteri. Mungkin itu bisa dibaca sendiri nanti. Juga alamat kita saat ini anggota kita ada 409 perempuan, luas pertanian adalah 286,19 hektar, pengurusnya ada 3 orang, supervisor 3 orang, karyawan ada 6 orang, kolektor ada 8 orang di 8 desa, delegasi ada 13 orang, satu delegasi mewakili 50 anggota.
Okay, so since this organization has been established in 2014, Cocoa Gayo has strived to be a cooperative that empowers women as the key to value in the sustainable principle applied. Now they're holding up until 409 participants of women all around Gayo, and then it is organized by three heads, which is all women as well. Here are some of the details if anybody here is interested to know, and then some of the legal details on the organizations. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Ya, di peta kita ada di ujung Sumatera, di ujung pulau Indonesia.
Yeah, if we want to look at our locations on the map, it's actually at the very left part of Indonesia. It's almost at the very end of Sumatra. Okay.
Papua Gayo sebagai organisasi perusahaan kecil juga memiliki lisensi, izin ekspor, memiliki sertifikat Flowcert dan sertifikat organik EcoCert dengan pasar ekspor kopi seperti Kanada, Amerika, Eropa, Australia, dan Korea.
Okay, Cocoa Gayo is also known for the coffee to be exported all around the world, such as Canada, America, Europe, Australia, and also Korea. And then they are also licensed and permit for all these coffee trading activities.
Ya, kenapa kita mendirikan koperasi ini? Kita punya misi, yaitu meningkatkan pendapatan dan kualitas hidup bagi petani perempuan dan keluarga mereka melalui pertanian, kopi, perdagangan, dan mendorong kesadaran perempuan untuk membangun ekonomi. Misi kita adalah 1, meningkatkan peran dan kapasitas wanita di perkebunan kopi terkait dengan produktivitas dan kualitas. Yang kedua, memperkuat kapasitas manajemen keuangan keluarga. Yang ketiga, meningkatkan pemahaman petani anggota organisasi dalam hal produksi dan perdagangan. Yang keempat, mewujudkan kesadaran sosial, pendidikan, kesehatan, dan lingkungan untuk mendukung pembangunan pertanian dan berkelanjutan.
Okay, so there are 4 main points where they really want to build on the community. The first one is to increase the quality of life around women farmers and their family through agriculture, coffee, and trade. And then also not only on those specific points, but also trying to reach out to them and then tell them about how to build a better finance in terms of family and then also on individuals. And then the production wise, Cocoa Gayo is also trying their best to deliver as much knowledge and information where they can use in order for them to develop a more better strategic and then a more better technology in order to increase their productions, and also to give a social awareness about how females are actually able and have the capability to be involved in this kind of company or like in this kind of community around the world.
Ya, di dalam perdagangan kopi kita memiliki coffee beans speakerson, yaitu nama brandnya Gayo Women Organic Coffee. Varietasnya ada Coffee Bean Katimor, Bourbon atau Gayo 2, Eslini, Tim, Gayo 1, P88, sertifikat EcoCert dan Fairtrade. Kalau kualitasnya organic fully wash dan semi wash. Mungkin ini ada tipe beberapa grade 1 dan longberry, berry, microlot, Wilua coffee, honey. Kalau kadar airnya ada di 12 dan 13%. Kalau daerahnya itu benar meriah. Jenis kopi Gayo itu karakternya strong gitu. Itu lebih diminati di kopi Gayo. Jenis packingnya Golmi kopi, bertahan sampai 12 bulan. Setahunnya kita bisa mensuplai ini sekitar 25 kontainer. Estimasi per hektarnya ada 850 sampai 1.200 kg per hektar. Ketinggiannya ada di 1.350 sampai 1.600 meter. Suhunya yaitu tropikal. Jenis tanahnya ada jenis andesol atau vulkanik. Kita dekat gunung berapi, itu juga mempengaruhi rasa. Masa panennya itu September sampai April. Ada juga pengiriman Januari sampai Desember.
Okay, so here are a little bit of the details of the coffee that are provided by Cocoa Gayo for maybe everyone that has been tasting it before. So the Cocoa Gayo Woman Organic Coffee have different kinds of variety beans, such as listed on the presentations, and then also a little bit of the details of the quality, and then grade type, and then the moisture percentage of the coffee. And then maybe what's interesting is the soil type that is where these coffees are being planted, which is at around of andesol type of soil type, because the coffee are planted around a volcanic area, which actually gives gives and create a specific scent and then flavor for the coffee. That is what actually creates the authentic flavor of Gayo Woman Organic Coffee. Yeah.
Ya, ini adalah total penjualan kita dari 2015. Terus kenapa menurun? Mungkin ada gangguan di organisasi juga, di ekoset juga. Dan ini penjualan sampai tahun 2020.
Okay. There's for a little bit of issues during this time is we have been decreasing in numbers of sales. It's because of also some of the climate that have been affecting the process, and then also Kak, sorry tadi yang mengefek tadi apa aja Kak? Sorry, poinnya.
Yang mana?
Yang bikin akhirnya salesnya turun tadi kenapa Kak?
Karena ada di perjalanan menjalankan standar ada gangguan gitu, makanya penjualan kita menurun.
Okay, and then also there are several issues on the standards that needs to be required. There are still some knowledge that needs to be delivered to the farmers so that they are able to sell their coffee beans outside of Indonesia as well.
Ya, ini adalah program pelatihan kita, peningkatan produksi. Jadi kalau dulunya perempuan itu tidak punya akses untuk ikut pelatihan-pelatihan di koperasi. Nah, dengan bergabungnya dengan Cocoa Gayo, mereka semua ikut berpartisipasi mengikuti pelatihan-pelatihan seperti pemangkasan.
Okay, at the beginning of all, usually women doesn't really have all these trainings where they can implement on how they farm the coffees and then how do they do with all the process of the coffees. But now with Cocoa Gayo, they are able to have all this access and all this information, and then they are also producing even a better beans and then also more effective ways.
Ya, next. Ini adalah proses kopi specialty. Kebetulan mejanya itu support dari GIDS. Kita kerjasama dengan Cafe Femenino.
Okay, so in this picture we can see how the honey coffee process and fully washed process have been being done. We also work together with Cafe Femenino. Yeah, Cafe Femenino in order to create for the tables and then also the settings of all this.
Ini adalah gudang proses. Di sini kita memproses kopinya mulai dari gabah sampai asalan.
Okay, here are the pictures of how we dry the coffees from after we semi-wash the coffees and then we dry them. These are some sort of a storage as well.
Ini adalah juga tempat pemrosesan di kolektor di Desa Wonosari.
Okay, here is the milling parchment for the coffees, and the area where this are located is in, sorry Kak, tadi lokasinya di mana?
Di Desa Wonosari.
Di Desa Wonosari, okay, and then it's located in one of the village in Wonosari.
Next. Okay. Ini juga di Wonosari, daerah Wonosari juga.
Okay, here is also some of the pictures of how we do the coffee drying in Wonosari.
Ini juga kita mendapatkan pelatihan untuk kolektor, itu juga mereka kita latih untuk mengetahui kualitas kopi. Kita juga di training, kolektornya kita panggil untuk mencoba kopi, biar mereka tahu bagaimana menghasilkan kopi yang baik. Dan kebetulan kita punya koneksi dengan beberapa roaster dari Australia, mereka jadi trainer kita saat berkunjung ke koperasi.
Okay, so in order to give more informations and more knowledge to the farmers, Coco Wagayo also work together with some roasters from Australia, where they will come and then share that knowledge with all the farmers and then teach them how to do the cupping trainings and then know what kind of beans are the good quality one and then what are classified as maybe second classes. Yeah, and then this informations are quite informative for them and then they're very excited and like happy to know all of this.
Ini adalah pertemuan-pertemuan juga pelatihan di berbagai desa binaan Coco Wagayo.
Yeah, here are some of the pictures of the activities that have been running through the time in Coco Wagayo.
Ini adalah pelatihan kompos. Jadi karena kita tidak bisa menggunakan herbisida atau pupuk kimia, jadi para petani atau ibu-ibunya kita latih untuk membuat kompos.
Okay, because Coco Wagayo couldn't use the chemical compost, so they are doing a training where all of the female farmers and are able to create their own compost to be used for the coffees.
Ini adalah ruang pertemuan yang kita buat dari premium KP Femenino. Kita buat ada di 2 desa, yaitu Desa Wonosari, juga ada di Desa Temas Memanang. Jadi setiap ada pertemuan kita ngumpulnya di sini, ada kunjungan tamu juga dari importer dari luar negeri juga kita ngumpulnya di sini seringan.
Okay, so this building is actually where all the meetings and all the learning and sharing are happening around Coco Wagayo. So there are 2 places which are Wonosari village and then in Temas Munang village. Mumanang, sorry, Temas Mumanang village, and then these buildings are also in collaboration with Cafe Femenino.
Ini adalah proses specialty. Meja pemrosesnya itu dibantu oleh KPI GIDS. Jadi setiap tahunnya kita ada support dari beberapa roster melalui program KP Femenino, kita dibantu seperti meja penjemuran ini.
Okay, so every year Coco Wagayo also receives so many supports from many roasters around the world. And for example, on this picture is where a project where they are supported by Cafe Ibis, where they got provided for these tables where they can dry racks all the coffees.
Ini adalah rapat-rapat setiap tahun yang kita lakukan untuk keberlangsungan organisasi. Kalau di Indonesia namanya rapat anggota tahunan atau RAT. Jadi itu setiap tahun kita laksanakan untuk menjaga legalitas koperasi.
Okay, so here are some of the pictures where we had a yearly meeting activity between all the organizations members. These are held in order to maintain the organization's socialization between one another and also from the outside of the organizations as well.
Sebentar Mbak, balik lagi.
Okay.
Jadi ini kita ada pelatihan bekerja sama dengan NAP, ini pelatihan leadership untuk ibu-ibunya. Ya, pelatihannya bagaimana menjadi seorang pemimpin, membuat laporan keuangan. Jadi ini kerjasama dengan NAP.
Okay, so in this particular event, which is on 8th of November, that Kakuwagayo had, there's a specific training that they do with all the women organizations members, which are on the leadership training and also financial management training. And then they're working together with NAP.
Ini juga ada training-training setiap kalau apa yang kita panggil itu dulu kolektornya dan delegasi.
Okay, and then here are some of the pictures where Kakuwagayo organizations member are participating with the collectors and delegates and operators and also workers. So it's like more of a gathering of all the community and also like the parts of people that are involved.
Jadi delegasinya kita panggil, mereka kita latih menjadi trainer, dan mereka akan menjadi trainer di desa-desa masing-masing.
Okay, so here is where we call all the delegates of the organizations, and then we train them in order for them to be able to teach other people in their villages, and then also other female farmers in their village.
Ini kita ada sama ya, tapi ini untuk kesehatannya.
Okay, and then here are pictures of some of the similar trainings, but instead of just focusing on the coffee, Kakuwagayo also trains them about personal health or like awareness for health. Yes.
Jadi di sini kita melatih para petani bagaimana mereka melindungi diri di saat panen. Contohnya saat panen, mereka harus melindungi matanya dan bagaimana melindungi diri mereka dari terpaan herbisida yang ada di sekitar mereka begitu.
Okay, so the training is also on the safety sides. So for example, when they're doing harvesting of the coffees and like the beans, there are some regulations that they need to know in order to keep their health secure and safe. Like for example, trying to cover their eyes, or like other kinds of procedures to keep them safe.
Next. Ini adalah ada pelatihan-pelatihan, ada juga kunjungan Dewan Pemudanya. Kita sering menggandeng mereka untuk berkunjung ke daerah, kebetulan itu ada di Australia. Yeah.
And then here are some of the activities or like also another awareness that Kakuwagayo is trying to raise as well during the events when there are people from outside of Indonesia that came or no, or is there any exhibitions that Kakuwagayo has the opportunity to share the projects? They will also have they will always take the opportunity for it. Yes, and then try to and then also try to incorporate all the young people around Kakuwagayo organizations and also Sumatra, which to raise awareness of this.
Kita juga mensupport ada tarian daerah, kadang-kadang kita berikan pakaiannya gitu untuk menampilkan, dipersembahkan saat kunjungan tamu.
Okay, like for example, on the top left pictures, that is one of the traditional clothes of Sumatra, and Kakuwagayo had the opportunity to provide them with those kinds of the outfit for them, and then to do a traditional dance and like showcase our culture to the people that or like the visitors that came to Kakuwagayo organizations. Yes.
Ini juga kita bekerja sama dengan Universitas Unsia, mereka magang di kantor kita. Kita juga melakukan penanaman pohon ada 100 pohon, juga dengan sekolah-sekolah yang ada di daerah tempat kita mensupport mereka untuk menanam pohon kembali, untuk menjaga lingkungan.
Okay, so another activities that Koko Wagayo also done with the community around is Koko Wagayo work together with universities and schools in order to encourage them to plant more trees. Like for example, in this picture is one of the activity where Koko Wagayo provide 100 trees, seeds, and then I encourage all the students in the university and also in the schools to plant them around the area.
Next.
Yeah.
Jadi kenapa kita koperasi perempuan selama ini gabungnya di koperasi laki-laki, jadi kadang-kadang perempuan itu tidak bisa mengambil keputusan apa yang mereka butuhkan. Di Koko Wagayo kita memperhatikan semua, termasuk membuat PAUD, bekerja sama dengan desa yang ada, kita mensupport gaji gurunya. Jadi di saat ibu-ibu panen ke kebun, mereka bisa menitipkan anak-anaknya. Dia merasa anak-anaknya terlindungi, merasa aman, mereka juga merasa tenang di saat ada di kebun.
Okay, so here are some of the pictures of the Koko Wagayo kindergarten that has been created. So the reason why this are formed is because a lot of the females farmers sometimes doesn't feel like safe or secure when they go to the farm and then have to leave their kids at home alone. So that's why this kindergarten are provided for them so that they will be able to feel safe and feel secure, and then to know that their kids are actually in good hands and then they don't have to worry and then they can focus more on their work.
Ini juga adalah program KP Femenino. Kita disupport oleh roster Allegro.
Okay, here this project is also supported by Cafe Femenino and also roster. Sorry Kak, apa tadi namanya?
Allegro
roster. Yes.
Yeah.
Allegro roster. Yes.
Yeah. Ini adalah beberapa kunjungan tamu. Mereka datang setiap tahun berkunjung ke tempat kita. Biasanya itu jadwalnya Oktober, September, Oktober, November. Sekarang mereka tidak bisa hadir karena ada COVID.
Okay. Usually these activities are happening during the October and November time when it's like a lot of harvesting season, but because due to COVID, there are a lot of restriction that is happening around. So these are, for now, it's still been postponed. Ya. Kak mau informasi aja, ini sekarang waktunya tinggal 3 menit ya.
Oke, dipercepat aja kalau nggak.
Boleh. Mau dilanjutkan ke slide yang mana, maaf?
Bisa dilanjutkan. Ini
Yang
adalah
mana, Kak?
support. Ya, oke, sedikit lagi aja. Ini adalah support pembagian brush cutter atau mesin babat untuk menghindari pemakaian pestisida. Yang sebelahnya tadi.
Oh, yang ini?
Ya, ini ya.
Okay, here is also a distribution of organic compost. So, and then also try to give knowledge and encourage all the female farmers not to use the chemical pesticides, instead use the organic one. And then like try to give them knowledge more on how to maintain the plants.
Next, ini adalah pembagian premium untuk desa. Pembagiannya ada sembako. Jadi apapun yang kita bagikan itu adalah keputusan mereka.
Okay, so also another organization activities that have been done previously, which is giving out a lot of food supplies to the female farmers for the premium members.
Next, ini juga pembagian sembako. Next.
Yeah, this is also the same thing, especially for during the COVID-19, a lot of the female farmers have been affected. So we try to help them in hand through giving out food supplies.
Ini untuk peremajaan kopi, kalau ada kopi tua itu diganti. Kita juga mensupport bibitnya dari koperasi.
Okay, then the organizations also provide with a lot of seeds. So not only ini selain kopi juga ya Kak untuk tanamannya.
Iya, ya bibit kopi.
Yeah. Okay. Also on for not only throughout the process and then the harvesting and producing, but also the seeds are all provided by Koko Magayo.
Ini juga kita ada bekerja sama dengan Koperasi Permata Gayo dan masyarakat. Kita join membeli ambulan untuk Desa Wonosari.
Okay, and then in order to keep all the people that are involved in the organizations and in the work area safe, Koko Magayo decided to have their own ambulance in order for any emergencies that is required. Then it can be done. It can be take in hand as fast as possible. Waktunya tinggal 1 menit, Kak.
Ya, ini adalah pemeriksaan kanker serviks dan mata.
Okay, and then here are some of the pictures of the health examination that have been done through the organizations.
Kita ada bantuan dari Korea itu untuk penanggulangan COVID, mereka membagikan masker, pemeriksaan kesehatan juga.
And then there's also help and support from Korea during the COVID-19. They provide us with a lot of COVID supplies, for example, mask and then health checkup, regular ones.
Okay, next. Ini ada pertemuan-pertemuan. Next. Nah, dari Korea juga. Ini ada pencuci tangan. Kita dari koperasi membagikan untuk setiap desanya.
Okay, and then in order to raise awareness of how cleanliness is very important, Koko Agayo also provides a lot of like this washing hands pins where, and then it's going to be, it is already been delivered to all the villages.
Next. Terima kasih. Ini adalah nomor kontak kita. Kalau apa, silahkan hubungi.
Okay, so thank you very much for all the attention and for the opportunity. Here are some of the details. If anybody would like to have keep in touch or have questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Berizin.
Thank you, Rizkani and Rita, for that fantastic presentation. And I want to thank you all again, both Rizkani, Isabel, Cynthia, and Rita for your contributions today. I think we all learned a lot. We have about 15 minutes for questions. So I want to remind you guys to add any questions that might have popped up into the chat. I will ask a few that we have actually prepared on our own to get us started, but if anything pops up, feel free to put it in the chat and we will ask our wonderful speakers. So let's start with a question a bit about your own journey. So we would like to hear a bit more about your personal journey with the cooperative. How has the participation impacted you, your family, and your community?
Okay, maybe we can start with Rizkani first. Okay, jadi ini Kak ada pertanyaan dulu. Untuk selama mengikuti organisasi dan program-program ini, apa sih sebenarnya impact yang paling menurut Kakak terasa paling tegat gitu untuk Kakak pribadi? Sorry Kak, masih ke-mute.
Bisa diulang, Wida?
Untuk pertanyaannya, selama menjalani proses dan mengikuti program-program yang ada ini, untuk efek sendirinya untuk Kakak sendiri itu sebenarnya apa sih yang Kakak rasakan gitu?
Ya, selain kita menjalani bisnis, suatu kebahagiaan yang sangat besar, selain bisa mengcover rumah tangga, saya merasa bangga bisa membantu petani yang selama ini mereka tidak muncul di permukaan. Padahal perempuan itu 70% terlibat dalam pertanian kopi. Jadi kalau tidak ada perempuan, mungkin tidak ada ekspor kopi. Yeah.
Okay, so personally for her, overall she feels a lot of happiness and joy on herself while doing all this program and activities that has been running. The reason why is because she noticed that a lot of women are now having their voice heard, and then starting to show awareness of all these people, especially in the coffee world in Indonesia. Actually 70% of the people involved are women. So she have the longing for all these people to be noticed. And then starting now, it's been going better and better every day. So she feels proud and she feels happy. And then it's not only to the people that are affected, but also to herself.
Thank you. That's a fantastic answer. Cynthia and Isabel, would you like to take a stab?
Of course. Isabel, vamos con la primera pregunta. La pregunta es si nos puede comentar un poco más acerca de su experiencia con la cooperativa, cómo esto le ha impactado personalmente a su familia y a su comunidad. Tiene el micrófono apagado, Isabel.
Sí, disculpa. En lo personal decía que ha contribuido en dar mayor seguridad a uno mismo para asumir una responsabilidad como la que he venido haciendo de las decisiones gerenciales dentro del negocio. Como que te crea la necesidad de estudiar, de tener mayor información, de tener mayor conocimiento. Eso ha sido una cosa personal. En relación a la familia, pues nos da otra visión para la crianza de los niños en los roles de equidad y de igualdad, ¿no? Y romper un poco el esquema tradicional de que el hombre es formado para decidir, para ordenar, y la mujer para obedecer. Entonces eso nos ha ayudado bastante a romper ese esquema. Y en relación a la comunidad, de ver a la mujer como una persona con la misma capacidad para tomar decisiones y que solamente requiere mayores oportunidades para desarrollarse.
So Isabel mentions that at a personal level, being part of this co-op and being the manager of it has contributed for her to have a bigger to be more confident when she makes decisions, because a lot of people depends on her. So that, of course, creates the necessity for her to be informed, to know more, to learn more, to being informed about what's going on in the world, what's going on beyond the community, beyond the reality in Peru. So she has had the need to study, to learn, to grow and develop more. In terms of the family, they have had the opportunity to have a different vision that relates to the way they raise their children. And now they're raising them with the ideas of equity and equality. So they break this traditional, ways of seeing women in a certain way that doesn't allow them to do, to say, to create, to another where they can see themselves as pairs. And in terms of the community, the community has learned to see women that have the same capacity as men, and they can make very useful and important contributions to them as well.
Thank you. That's a great answer. We have a few questions from our audience here. So we'll start with a great one from Katie. She wonders if Did the fair trade and women's cooperative programs encounter any resistance with their initiatives? If so, how did you guys deal with it?
Oke, pertanyaan nih untuk Kak Rizkani juga dari teman-teman audiens. Jadi mereka mau nanya nih, selama menginisiasikan berbagai macam ide untuk dari Kokowa Gayo untuk orang-orang di sekitarnya, itu apakah ada orang yang mungkin sedikit menghalangi, ada halangan nggak Kak sebenarnya untuk menjalani itu semua? Dan kalau misalnya ada, gimana sih caranya Kakak untuk bisa menangani halangan-halangan itu? Gitu. Sorry, ke-mute lagi masih.
Ya, kebetulan di Gayo itu 90% kebun sudah disertifikat organik dan fair trade. Jadi para suami itu mereka sudah memahami apa yang akan kita lakukan. Malahan mereka merasa bangga kalau istrinya itu bisa bergabung dengan Kokowa Gayo. Juga mereka mendapat pendidikan, support, pemeriksaan kesehatan. Tidak ada koperasi yang peduli dengan petani, kesehatan petaninya. Jadi kita peduli seperti pemeriksaan kanker serviks. Ini kan biayanya mahal. Jadi setiap aspek kita perhatikan itu petaninya. Jadi kalau kita di lapangan itu kita malah mendapat dukungan dari para suami. Kalau untuk organisasi kita tidak dapat kendala kecuali di pasar gitu.
Okay, so it's actually a good news. Whenever she tried to the Kokowa Gayo tried to initiate any ideas, actually it is all worked up by the other parties, a lot of other parties. As we all know, as everybody maybe should have known about this, that 90% of the land around Gayo is already used for coffees, and then all of them are mostly led by males. So when Kokowa Gayo decided to have all these programs and try to incorporate a lot of females, they actually welcome all these programs, and then they're very proud and happy to know that actually their wives or like maybe a lot of females are actually willing and then like wanted to take a step and then try to be more involved in the programs in the coffee community building. And then for other kinds of initiative, there's not really much of obstacles, but other than that, maybe a lot more on the market sites if like they're sending out like exporting coffees in science. Yeah.
Thank you.
Isabel, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Isabel, ahora una pregunta del público. La pregunta que hacen es si los programas de cooperativas que están liderados por mujeres y de comercio justo, si es que ustedes encontraron alguna resistencia para poder implementar estos programas o estas iniciativas, y si encontraron alguna resistencia, digamos, en contra, ¿cómo fue que pudieron trabajar para seguir adelante?
Bueno, quizás en mi caso yo vengo trabajando la organización de los productores desde el año 92. Entonces, los productores siempre han visto con confianza esa relación y por lo tanto cuando se dio la oportunidad de impulsar el trabajo con las mujeres, de organizar a las mujeres, de crear la marca, al inicio un poco de desconfianza en el qué queríamos hacer con las mujeres, ¿no? Que quizás queríamos separar las mujeres en otra organización, pero cuando ellos vieron que el mensaje que dábamos no era para romper, no era para separar a las mujeres, sino por el contrario, para que conjuntamente lográramos mejores condiciones para la familia, y cuando vienen los premios y cuando vienen los incentivos y todo va dirigido a mejorar las condiciones de vida de la familia, entonces los productores entienden de que es un programa que hay que apoyar. E incluso ahora decimos, quizás nuestros mejores aliados para que Café Femenino siga creciendo son nuestros compañeros socios. No he sentido una resistencia como para frustrar el programa. Sencillamente, como te decía inicialmente, quizás una duda al inicio de qué es lo que queríamos hacer con el programa de mujeres.
So Isabel mentions that they started working in this program since 1992. And at the beginning, there was some mistrust regarding the program because they were not very well informed. And they thought that they were gonna, they were looking for a separation between women and the co-op, and they were gonna be left behind, and they were not gonna be part of this anymore. They were not gonna have anything else to do, or a way to be part of this. But when they learned how this program was gonna work and how it's gonna be, it was gonna be built, and how it was gonna be it was going to be beneficial, or it will be beneficial to the whole family, and they will be benefited in a way that their life quality will be improved. They said, okay, then this is good. We will want to be part of this. We want women in the community to be part of this. They realized that they wanted to work as a team instead of excluding people in the community. They realized that it was about working as a team towards the improvement on their life quality conditions. And they realized that their support was important, and they started to do that. And now Isabel mentions that now their male partners are the ones that are they encourage women to be part of this. They want them to be part of this. They talk to them about the benefits of being part of Café Femenino, and but they never had the issue of encountering such a huge resistance that they were not able to continue, or they were not able to invite other women or families to be part of this.
Fantastic. Great answers. Thank you. I wish that we had all night to ask questions, because this has been an absolutely fantastic conversation. And I saw that we have a few more questions, but unfortunately, in the spirit of keeping this on time, I'm going to wrap things up for the evening. So I want to first and foremost thank you guys again, Isabel, Rizkani, Cynthia, Rita, for your fantastic presentation and your contribution tonight. Tonight and this morning, I guess, for Rizkani. You guys got up nice and early for us, and we thank you so much. I also want to thank our audience tonight for coming in and listening, and for asking thoughtful questions and engaging with this event. We hope to see you guys at our next GIDS speaker event, which is actually next week on the 22nd, and we will be hosting a panel of displaced scholars, and we will be learning about their experience with forced migration, which will be very interesting. So stay tuned and check your emails for details. Thank you guys again, and have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening.